I'm outraged that prosecutors at the Justice Department were tricked into starting this investigation 3 years ago with false allegations by those who have a political motive to silence me. But I will not be silenced.
All right, there he is, my senator. Senator Bob Menendez, a Democrat from New Jersey. And it's very interesting, folks, locally here in the New York area to hear the news reports on the all news stations and the local TV news. Very, very rarely is the Democrat word invoked before Bob Menendez's name, but if he were a Republican, it would be in capital letters. Anyway, joining us now is the one and only Kendall Coffey, partner of Coffey Burlington LLC, former U.S. attorney down in great Florida. And Kendall, so let me ask you this. First of all, welcome aboard. And, you know, there's a fine line. You can tell me you know better, but so I'm told, between doing favors illegally for somebody and doing favors for a friend, accepting bribes, accepting gifts. From what you have seen in the indictment and what you know about it, where does these charges fall?
Well, fine line is a great way to describe it, and this is a close call because politicians do favors for friends, for contributors all the time. And you could be confident that if they're called out on it, you know, certainly if they're indicted on it, they'll have a legitimate explanation that's in the public good, that whoever got help with a visa getting into this country was entitled to one and was just trying to sort of deal with the bureaucratic process. That if there were issues about the Medicare fraud battle between the doctor and the agency, that the view of the senator was that the agency was overreaching. So these kind of cases are in quite the gray zone, except when you have something like a Rod Blagojevich, where you got him on tape and he's saying all kinds of, you know, incredible, sizzling and incriminating things. You don't have that here, so it's a gray zone case. Doesn't mean the prosecutors can't win it, because they're gonna have stuff about, you know, $5,000 visit to a Paris hotel, things that were not disclosed and were not reported on the gift form. So they've got some things to work with. But Menendez says they were friends. The evidence is going to show they're friends. And so far, there's no indication that the friend is going to turn on Senator Menendez. If he does, it's a different case. Right,
but if he doesn't, then they don't have anything except, I don't want to say circumstantial evidence, but as a layman, that's what I see it as. I mean, you know, they forms the actual gifts he took to prove he, but they're not going to have any testimony from their really a key witness, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a strong case of bribery, which is one of the allegations they've made. Now, how the senator explains the failure to report a lot of very expensive flights, a lot of, you know, fairly extravagant lodging and hospitality, that's more difficult. And it may be that depending on how the trial goes, if this goes to trial, and I sure don't expect Menendez to plea out, if this goes to trial, it may be that he thinks at the end of the day he's got to get on the stand to explain that. But a lot of this stuff that is in this indictment, I think, is going to be hard to prove.
Yeah, and you know, I harken back to Senator Stevens of Alaska, the late Senator Stevens, who, after he was out of the Senate, you know, he was found not guilty of the charges against him.
Yeah, I mean, that case turned out to be a huge embarrassment for the Department of Justice, and it had some similarities in that it was a friend that he was supposedly getting a lot of valuable things from that weren't being reported. Somewhat analogous scenario, very hard zone to prove things sometimes for prosecutors.
We got a minute and a half left, Kendall. The DOJ not pursuing contempt charges against Lois Lerner for not testifying before the House. I mean, I'm not surprised. Are you?
Well, I'm going to give you two observations. One is that what she did in front of the House committee to go in, I have not done anything wrong, I have not broken any laws, I have not violated any IRS rules and regulations, and then falls back on the Fifth Amendment. People are going to start doing that all the time. The second thing is, I think you can question the decision not to appoint an independent counsel and a special prosecutor to look at this thing, and instead to have it handled by the administration.
Yeah, interesting. Well, so this is a precedent of sorts, right? For people, they could go back and say, well, Lois Lerner did it, you can't prosecute me, you didn't prosecute her. It's not a legal precedent, though, is it?
Well, it is, because what the Justice Department has said is you can say exactly these things.
Right.
I have not, these various denials, and then fall back on the Fifth Amendment and they can't touch you. They can't push you into having to, in a sense, explain, well, what did you mean when you say you haven't broken any laws or violated any rules or regulations?
Very interesting. Kendall, always appreciate it, sir. Have a very happy Easter, sir.
Hey, all the best to you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Kendall Coffey,
Steve.
ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, we're going to be joined by a man who could also help us understand this deal. Richard Pearl will be here to join us on the Steve Malzberg Show. So keep it right where it is, and you know where it is. First of all, that Menendez thing, look, I think it's vindictive. I think they're going after him because he dared to oppose the president on Cuba and Iran. That's just my opinion. Anyway, we'll have more coming up. Don't go away.